Humanity has always hunted for knowledge in the unknown. The wonder is, not that the field of stars is so vast, but that we have measured it.
Welcome to Half a Chance Podcast. I'm Paul.
And I'm Jason. We're your hosts for today, and we're not alone. We have a special guest joining us today to talk about a special topic that's near and dear to our heart. He's a friend of mine, and he has extensive experience dealing with robots and all kinds of AV equipment. Josh, welcome to the podcast.
Gentlemen, thank you for having me on the podcast. I'm very excited to delve into today's topic.
Josh, we're thrilled to have you on to talk with us. Can you tell us in short why we asked you to be here with us?
Yeah, honestly, I think Jason has a new interest that he likes, and he's trying to get me hyped up for it. And that interest today is Starfield.
Yep, today's topic is Starfield. It's on everyone's mind. It's on our minds. And we're talking to our wives, our neighbors, our children, and everyone's eyes are just glazing over. Like, what are you talking about? But that's why we asked you to be here.
I've actually been keeping it pretty low key, I thought. One notable gaffe this weekend. I was at family camp with my family, and I was introducing my brother to a friend of Amy's, both single. And I was told that she enjoyed I was told she enjoyed games, and I thought video games. So I just made the assumption that she knew about Starfield, knew that was coming out. And so I brought it up as a common shared interest between the two of them. And I got the whole, oh, so that's where you'd rather be right now, playing the pre-release. And I was like, yeah. So it turns out she's not into video games at all. It's tabletop gaming. And my brother wasn't even that excited about it, despite the fact that he's been playing modded Skyrim for years. So yeah, I guess he's more of a fantasy D&D kind of game guy. So I've been informed that our guest Josh is into video games, but has no real anticipation for Starfield outside of kind of the task that was given, and no background in any Bethesda RPG game ever. Is that right?
Technically, yes, but maybe not no. So if you say Bethesda RPG, true. If you say Bethesda game, I technically looked up the wiki list of every Bethesda game ever created. And
Okay.
One I found on that list from 1991 is the NES version of Where's Waldo? And I played that a lot as a kid. So I would say I'm not completely void of playing a Bethesda game.
Wow.
But to bounce off of that, my wife, Amy, who's also named Amy, one of her favorite games is Fallout 4, and I watched her play a crap ton of that game. So I'm very familiar with Fallout.
Okay. All right.
Nice. Well, we asked Josh to be here for something very simple. We asked him to watch the 45-minute Starfield Direct that Bethesda showed back in June of this year. And we asked him to come on here and ask us what he thinks about that.
So we just want to crawl around inside your mind for a bit. Having seen the Starfield Direct and never having been involved with a Bethesda style RPG, how does that video land? Does it look fun? Does it look like a second job? Is it remotely appealing to play or not? Start us off with kind of that first impressions.
I've watched it, I'd say 3 times now. Once for me, once to show Amy, my wife, and then once again to prepare for the podcast. And yeah, no, I'm hyped. We'll be getting it for sure. My wife said that we're getting it, so I mean, I guess
Wow.
we're getting it.
Okay.
I was not expecting that.
Yeah, and no, and just coming from recently playing Cyberpunk 2077 and putting like 250 hours into that, I see a lot of similarities. And I love the game, the genre. I love the genre. I can dump hundreds of hours into a game like this. I know for a fact.
Wow. Well, that excites us for sure. Right, Paul?
Yeah. I mean, obviously it's good to find validation in the game you enjoy or the game you're really looking forward to.
Yeah.
Unlike that other girl, my brother's.
Yeah. I wanted to kind of get a background for others that are listening to this, of Josh, why we asked you on here, just so you can give us a little bit more about yourself, for your impressions. What is your favorite game and why? Do you have a favorite game? I would say Cyberpunk, obviously you dumped hours into, but that doesn't mean that it's your favorite game.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I spent my entire high school years playing Final Fantasy 11 and then post high school playing Final Fantasy 14, both MMOs. And those I've spent years of my life of game play hours. But I wouldn't even say that those are my favorite games. I'm a huge Valve fanboy, huge. So Half-Life, Half-Life has always been at number one on that list for me. And especially more recently, Half-Life Alyx in VR, I do consider to be my greatest gaming experience, bar none, hands down.
Wow.
It's my favorite gaming experience. I don't know if you would like separate that from favorite game. I don't know if that makes sense.
No, that makes sense to me.
Like just my greatest gaming experiences has been playing that game.
Cool.
So you're gonna give Starfield a fair shot. It sounds like you're super excited to play it. What's the, if you had to, pick from those items in the direct, what's the thing you're most interested in immediately, or that you want to see come out of it?
I would say, good question. Probably exploration, honestly. Like when in games like this is really exploration for me. The story definitely looks intriguing too. I feel like this game is a mixture of, just coming from games I've played recently, Mass Effect, Cyberpunk, even Star Wars Squadron, Jason. Just the space battle and flying. It seems like they're taking a lot from Star Wars Squadron, like they're influenced from it, like assigning, power to your shields or to your engines. It's really cool to see. And just all the RPG elements of your character building and the XP, I love that as well. Exploration and the RPG elements are probably my two favorite things I see. And then just the space, everything about the space and the story just really reminds me of Mass Effect. So what I think I'm most excited about is, like, I feel like with this game, I'll have one game and I can like play all of that in one game.
Exactly.
I don't have to bounce between different games. It's pretty exciting.
Yeah, that is really exciting. I think Paul and I have seen those elements in play as well. So compared to other things that you've played, kind of like, I guess Cyberpunk, since you've dumped lots of hours into that fairly recently, like within the last year, I guess, right? Or maybe two. Is it 2 years old now? I don't remember. It's probably close to 2 years old now, right?
Yeah,
Wow.
I think its first DLC actually is coming out real soon.
Yes, that's right.
It's supposed to revamp a lot of things, and a lot of people are really excited for that.
Yeah. So compared to other games that you've dumped lots of hours into, or that you've just had experiences with, how does this compare and contrast to those, I guess, in what you've just seen in a 45-minute direct? You haven't actually played this, so
are you gonna have time to do Starfield with Cyberpunk DLC coming out?
Yeah, well, just be totally honest with you guys. Yeah, I barely play anything lately. If I do, it's bringing out my Steam Deck when I'm on the road in my hotel room at the end of the day. And usually I'm just playing something dumb, like some Super Nintendo emulated game. I'm not even doing anything modern. So I don't know if Starfield will I'm gonna have to intentionally give it a chance because I gotta find the time because it looks fun.
It'll destroy your work-life balance.
Oh,
Probably due to lack of sleep.
Yeah.
Because that's what's gonna have to get next is sleep.
Nice. Well, what stands out compared to other games that you have played? Is there anything that looks like this looks totally different from what I've had experience with?
Honestly, I think nothing specifically. Like I said, I just feel like Bethesda is just putting together little pieces from their past games, from other popular titles, and they're just trying to make like this magnus opus of theirs.
Yes.
Which is a mixture of everything all in one space, this whole galaxy that they're creating so that we never have to leave it. It's got everything for every genre of player. So I don't think there's one thing that I feel like they're doing better, except for looking at everything and putting it all together in one, hopefully honed in package where everybody can spin in one space. So I think, again, I think I'm just repeating myself on that, but I mean, that's truly what I see here.
Gotcha. Did you see anything? I mean, it might be the same thing, but did you see anything else that kind of concerned you about it? Like, oh, I don't like the idea of them doing this in this game or anything like that.
I do have a lot of skepticism and concerns, honestly.
Yeah.
I don't know if you want to save those for the end or if you kind of want me to just jump into those now.
No, just jump in them now.
But one of them is kind of what I keep bouncing on is they're trying to like do everything.
Yeah.
So one of my concerns is if like when you try to do everything, is it gonna all be done well instead of focusing on a few things and doing those extremely well?
Yeah.
So that's some of my concerns. And then also not being very experienced with Bethesda. I don't know what their history is with launching a game. Like, are we expecting a full polished title here with everything that they're showing us and promising us at the start? Or is this going to be like Cyberpunk 2077 where it comes out, it looks pretty, but it's glitchy and there's a bunch of stuff they promised missing. And so I'm maybe a little bit traumatized from Cyberpunk.
Yeah, I understand
but
that.
I don't know what to expect. So I think my skeptic meter is a little high and I'm trying not to get too hyped.
Gotcha. Yeah, well,
Same
I think
boat.
we've had the same concerns about it. I think we've had the opportunity, though. I'm sure, Paul, you've been following everything that's going on with it. It is in pre-release right now, so the people that review things have already reviewed it. It's early access now, so people that paid a little bit extra are playing it right now, and then in 2 days it comes out for everyone else. So I don't know. I really haven't heard of very many, hey, I hope this gets fixed right away in a patch type of deal. And I haven't heard that company respond, Bethesda, that, hey, we're going to have a day one patch type thing. There's always a day one patch. So I assume that something will come down the line on Wednesday, but I really haven't, I've heard lots of concerns about specific parts of the game from people that have played, but I really haven't heard a lot of horrible feedback, which makes me happy about it.
Yeah, that's good.
Paul, any notes?
Oh, I was just gonna give a little historical background with Bethesda RPG games. That
Please.
prior to Fallout 76, the joke was that the game would come out and then the modders would get in and they would fix all the bugs. And so the modders end up releasing the unofficial, the unofficial patch fix. But then Fallout 76 came out and it was such an awful bomb that no one asked for the multiplayer Fallout universe and poorly implemented, that we were thinking they had to have learned their lesson from it. And it sounds like I haven't caught any of the early review spoilers, but I've caught in some some early first impressions where, yeah, it's got some of the Bethesda bugs, but it's nothing that's game breaking.
Right.
Okay.
Sometimes a little goofy.
Yeah, mostly immersion breaking, right? Like there's goofy immersion breaking physics or something like that happens. There's videos where I've seen NPCs are like this and they go, and their head is completely turned around when they're talking to you, because Bethesda RPGs, when you are talking to someone, it like hones into their face with your camera, and then they are like turning into talking to you. And so
that's creepy.
That's that's what it is. That's their style. And so there's a bug in there that they really break their necks on certain occasions when they're sitting down and stuff like that.
And what are we talking about right now as far as beta testers? What platform are we talking?
Oh, it's not beta. It's not beta. It's like,
or the pre-release. I mean,
the early access.
Early access. There you go. Is this for all platforms, or is this just on Xbox, or is this PC where we're seeing these bugs?
Do you know this?
Across all?
So on Xbox, it is early access since Friday, and on Steam, it's early access since. No, it was since Friday for Steam as well.
Yeah, so I haven't heard specific platforms that are running into it. I've heard that it definitely performs the best on the Xbox Series X.
I would imagine
is what I've heard, because that was what it was optimized for.
Yep, exactly.
Apparently, it does not play on the Intel GPU they're putting together. So Intel is putting together.
That's right. I heard that.
Their drivers for that game real fast, but I saw a quick little 30-second video of it on YouTube, and it was bad.
Okay.
Yeah. So for a PC, there's always so many combinations that might work and might not. And obviously it's not on PlayStation or Nintendo, but it is on Steam, and it is on
Nintendo, man.
It's not on Nintendo. Yeah. That Switch, man, it would look so shiny on there. But yeah, it's on Xbox and on PC that way. I had a very specific question, so just hear me out, and this is just for fun. But these are other Bethesda RPGs that they have launched in the past. The most recent ones being Skyrim and Fallout 4. And those are pretty much the same type of game, vast open world. You walk everywhere. Yeah, you can fast travel, but you're not going to be flying anything or driving anything in those. And Skyrim has that one's like not medieval, it's fantasy, right? It's fantasy, dragons and goblins and all that stuff. Yeah. And then Fallout, you know what that is, but Skyrim's main story is about 34 and a half hours long. And for 100% completion, it's 231 hours. Fallout 4 is a 27-hour main campaign. And for 100% completion, it's about 158 hours. And then I looked up the top players on Steam for hours played for Skyrim, and it's 84,851 hours. And for Fallout 4 on Steam, the top playing hours was 62,083 hours.
I don't believe that.
So
AFK.
I was going to say,
that's the only way.
How many hours do you think Starfield would require of you to make it feel like you're giving it a fair swing?
How much is it even going to cost? Do you guys know?
What do you mean?
Starfield. How much does it cost to purchase?
So it's just a regular $60 game as far as
it is going. Okay.
I think it's
70.
Some games are 70 these days, right?
Oh,
so I wasn't sure if it was going to be 60 or 70.
Well, I think it's in that category of like full game, whatever it would be at this point. Yeah. So 70 or 60. However, I did tell you that I'm getting you Game Pass for your PC for 1 month, which it comes with that plus all the other games, and you can dump as many hours as 1 month will give you. and then you would have to buy the full version. You probably want to just buy it on Steam since you're a Steamaholic anyway.
Yeah, don't even bother. Like I said, my wife said we have to get it, so I'm gonna buy it anyway. So don't.
Okay, well then never mind.
Thank you, but
So that was going to
not
be our deal, so
necessary.
that you could at least put some hours into the game.
Yeah,
but how many hours?
Spend 100+ hours on. I'm not like.
Do you think you're going to spend that much?
It. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. If it's anything like Cyberpunk 2077, and it looks just like it, if not more, as far as combat and RPG and I guess character building, those 3 aspects alone, it looks like it. Yeah, I'll easily put in 200+ hours. Easy.
Gotcha. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think I've ever put 200 hours into any one of those RPGs, but with Starfield, there's going to be multiple playthroughs, I think, for me, versus taking one character and going back to everything, if that makes sense.
Well, that's one of the things I'm super excited about, like what sets this apart from, say, Mass Effect. Mm-hmm. Every one of those planets you go to in Mass Effect is exactly the same every single time, versus this one has some of that randomly generated aspects to the planets. Mm-hmm. In that 45-minute video, they mentioned that if you go to a planet and then one of your friends goes to that same planet, you're both going to have different experiences. So just the replayability is just going to be insane.
Yeah, it's probably very bizarre how much you can do, but there will definitely be all the scripted stuff that is laid out as quests, right? It's all the unscripted stuff, I think, that is going to be the randomly generated stuff, I think.
Yeah, I'd imagine so.
I think from what I've heard, the procedural generation is part of the world terrain.
Mm-hmm.
And there's already complaints. One of the complaints that's coming out is that you can land on a planet anywhere you want, but once you land there, you're limited in that you can't just like abandon your ship and walk around the planet.
That was going to be one of my questions. I was curious about that. So thank you. Yeah, that's good. Okay.
It sounds like you're limited to an area that's about the size of the entire Fallout 4 game map. And from what I've heard, if you really want to, you might be able to summon your ship to you, and then it rebuilds, and like you might be able to keep leashing your ship in, and then try to walk all the way around the planet. So it might still be an option. And if it's not, the modders will have it probably within the end of the week. It'll be a day 1 release. Apparently there's already over 150 mods that have been released for the game, and it hasn't even made it into full release.
How long has the pre-release been out?
Since Friday.
Jeez.
Yep.
That's intense.
So
Bethesda is known for its modding community with its RPG games.
I had no idea.
Yes.
Okay.
And so they have mod support, and stuff gets put together fast.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool. Good. Okay.
Which is why people are still playing Skyrim 20 years after it's...
Yeah, I knew about that. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
what? Go for it.
I was gonna say, what's your experience with mods? And if there was a mod that just hands down, without a doubt, you think you would want to pull into the game, something that maybe you didn't see in the direct, wouldn't expect to be in the game, but hey, it'd be cool if we could have this in the game. And if Starfield doesn't have it, I'm looking for the mod that does.
Yeah, good question as far as what mod I'd want. But as far as my background with mods, like I said, I grew up playing Half-Life and all of Valve's games, and they're one of the biggest open source when it comes to mods and providing all of their SDKs and all that kind of stuff to the community. So very familiar with it. As far as developing anything of my own, not really. I've built some maps back in the day, but no code editing or anything like that.
Yeah.
As far as what I'd want, man, maybe something like a God mode, where you just get free reign travel to anywhere you want at any point. I don't know if something like that would be possible in this game, but just to make the exploration quicker, faster, easier,
manageable.
Yeah, I don't know. I usually don't do mods, honestly. I kind of steer away from them. I like to just stick to what the developers intended.
All right. Are you a hardcore player?
Yeah.
Like if there's a hardcore
define
survival
hardcore player
mode.
to me.
Well, so
Yes, he is.
Okay.
Sorry, Josh.
Yeah. Well, for Bethesda has its own version of hardcode or survival, so you can play Fallout 4 and you run around and there's just so much stuff in the world, and most of the time it doesn't really mean anything, and half the time it's not really worth anything. But then you flip it into survival mode and suddenly you have to eat food in order to keep from starving. You have to drink water in order to keep from starving. Ammo has weight. If you sleep on a dirty mattress, you can get diseased and dysentery, and then you have to go on a mad scramble through the sewer trying to find some antibiotic packet or something before you die. And there's some RPG hard mode elements or survival elements.
So they do have that in this game?
I don't know if they do have this, but they
will have something, I'm sure.
Skyrim has it, or at least the latest, re-release of Skyrim has a survival mode. Fallout 4 has a survival mode. It's an attractive option, it seems. And there will be a mod before the end of the week.
Okay. Yeah. Well, as Jason kind of hinted at, anybody that's ever played any game with me knows that it's my rule. No matter what the game, if I'm playing it for the first time, I jump in hardest game mode possible. And I will never go down in difficulty ever. Even I'll just play and beat my head into the wall until I pass something. It's just my rule. It started back when, on the original Rock Band, PS3. Me and my friend jumped in and we just started on expert right away. And lost immediately over and over and over again. And that rule's just kind of remained. It's fun. It really challenges you. I think it's made me a way better gamer.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I'm having flashbacks to my first Fallout experience. My brother got me started on it. It was on his computer, and Fallout 4, and there's a part where you're going through and the very first death claw shows up on the first mission.
Yeah.
And it was on hard mode, so I just kept getting one shot every single time. And then next thing I know, I think I hid in a building where it couldn't get into, and then just kept popping shots off. And eventually the thing ended up glitching into like a guardrail terrain or something, and then it couldn't move anymore. And it was like, oh yes, I can finally beat it.
Whatever it takes.
I still use every single bit of ammo I
had. I was curious, do you enjoy, you played Half-Life, I don't know how much you played Cyberpunk, 250 hours. This has the option for you to do first person as well as third person. I'm curious what you are drawn to.
I would imagine first person. Okay. First of all, I can't stand the look of spacesuits. I think they're so lame looking. I don't want to see the back of my character for 250 hours in a terrible looking outfit. So more than likely it's going to be first person the entire playthrough.
Okay.
I was watching through the Starfield Direct, and there's the meeting room of all the archaeologists, and there's this frumpy idiot wearing a spacesuit in the living room. Everyone else is just dressed in normal clothes, like, oh yeah, and you're just like, oh yeah, just in case the world cracks and I need to evacuate.
Yeah,
thank you for understanding. Yeah.
Well, I have a follow on then. The ships, when you're flying, there's a first person or third person. What are you drawn to for that?
I would imagine that's going to be first as well. But I'm not sure. I'll have to try both on that one.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Do you ever foresee VR support like they did
I
for
was just
Skyrim?
going to ask you. Yeah, I see it happening at some point.
Awesome.
Yeah, I hope so.
Awesome.
Modders guaranteed.
Well, then there you go. That's the mod I would most be hyped for, is VR, being a
VR.
VR player.
I don't know. Is there a VR Fallout or a VR?
I have not looked
Skyrim?
for it or heard, but I
don't
would
think
be
there is.
surprised if that doesn't already exist.
Because they built Starfield on their updated creation engine.
Yeah, a
They
new
don't
one.
already have. Because I mean, they've re-released Skyrim like 17 times in 15, 25 years. Why wouldn't they have a VR release? They've got the Samsung fridge released.
I know, right? Yeah, just for your context, Josh, Skyrim has been released and re-released and re-released on so many platforms, and people have complained, stop releasing more Skyrim and start making something new. And their response was, then stop buying Skyrim because people keep buying it.
Yep, pretty much.
Just looked it up. There is a Skyrim VR.
Figured.
So if that's
Well, Skyrim we knew,
creation
but
engine-
Fallout, is there a Fallout VR?
I think they're
That's what we're
both built
looking for.
on the. I
Same
think they're
engine.
both built on the same engine. Fallout 4 VR. Yeah, it's on Steam.
As an actual game, not just like a mod you can download?
According to the Steam store, it includes the complete core game with all new combat, crafting, and building systems, fully reimagined.
Yeah, I gotta imagine it's gonna be requested for Starfield for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Even if it's just for space travel, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess that wouldn't make much sense. Go into your ship, put on your headset, land on a planet, take it off. So it would have to be all or nothing.
That'd be
Yeah.
awful. No, it looks like they've got it. They've got VR for Fallout, which means we know it's in the creation engine. And we've seen other successful VR implementations of games like No Man's Sky and was it Elite Dangerous? Is I guess are kind of similar spaceship type things. Have you had any experience with either of those?
What was the second game you mentioned?
Elite Dangerous.
Never played it. And then No Man's Sky, I'm aware of. Seen gameplay, have not played.
Okay. Yeah, No Man's Sky is one of the games that I have regularly compared to Starfield because it's like, oh yeah, that's just like in No Man's Sky,
Yeah.
except more realistic, more exciting.
Yeah, and that looks like an interesting game to me. I've just never taken the time to pick it up because I know that's a game I would spend 100 of hours on.
Yeah.
And I just can't do it. So
Yeah. Yeah.
I've done
makes
it,
sense.
and I wish for more story. But
Yeah, I think everyone has always said this is No Man's Sky or No Man's Skyrim, right? I think that's the
I've
term
heard
that
that,
they've
yeah.
thrown around. No Man's Skyrim is Starfield, or Skyfield, or whatever they say, meaning that it's taking a lot of parts of No Man's Sky, like the not farming, but mineral mining and stuff like that on different planets, and then going back to, well, I guess you have hubs, right? You can build hubs in No Man's Sky. I don't know. But you can in Starfield, yes. Obviously. They have base building, right? And they have ship building. Yep. And then you can apparently just buy apartments in places. So you don't have to build anything if you don't want.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I like that. Because that's a genre that I could not care less about.
So that was kind of my question: is the base building and the ship building? Is that
shipbuilding?
Not at all. You're
boring.
Yeah.
Not into resource production and pipelining to
no way.
An interstellar magnate.
No way. That's all like real life stuff. Not interested in. at all.
Oh man.
Even the beginning, designing my character, just pre-build presets, get me to exploring.
Gotcha.
So that's where the God mode comes in, where it's just like I don't want to have to deal with needing to have X number of billions of credits for this.
Right.
Just
Well, but
have
not. I wouldn't do it. But like if I had to pick a mod, I guess it would be that.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So do you go full RPG with these things? Like what some people do where they're like, I am this type of person and I will act this way in every situation.
Character
And
backstory.
it's not something that I do in real life, but for this, I'm going to stick with it because this is who this person is in the game.
Did you go
I see
Renegade
what,
and Mass Effect?
I shook my head at the beginning of your question, but you went a different direction. So usually it completely depends on the answers I'm given, or responses I'm given, I should say. I usually pick, I don't know, the least stupid answer.
Oh no! Oh no!
Like, I don't know. I think I do usually stick to my values, and
Okay.
but I don't know, sometimes I'll pick things I wouldn't do.
Yeah.
But I don't think I get that into it.
No.
I'm just kind of getting through the story.
You don't do a full evil playthrough. Everyone is your enemy. You're going to be mean to everybody.
Never have.
No.
But again, I haven't played too many games like this.
Yeah.
Mass Effect and Cyberpunk are probably, honestly, the first two. Mass Effect is your fault, by the way. So
yes, I know. Have you finished it yet?
No, I'm
I
still
know.
probably 3/4 through the second game.
Yeah. That's okay. You'll see elements of it, of Mass Effect, I'm sure, in this. Not just the space thing, but just not quite the morality, but the options of how you can go about things. So that's very much a Bethesda type thing. Lots of options to figure out how you want to pursue this or not pursue it at all. So yeah, it'll be very fun. Paul, anything?
Yeah, you mentioned the morality thing and how Starfield is probably going to be kind of light. I don't know. It sounds like there's, from that direct, it sounds like there's cults, there's religion, there's, you know, some of those fun things. Are you going to grab one of those backstories, or dedicate yourself to eradicating a cult, or maybe that's just going to be part of it? Like,
I don't know. I think I need more information.
Okay, I've got something for you. So Paul, think of maybe a quest line or a situation in Skyrim or Fallout that you've come across. In that vein. Otherwise, I can.
Oh, well, in Fallout, there's the cult of Adam, where they're all like, "Oh, we worship the radiation," and they bathe in radiation and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but there's not any. At least I haven't run into any quest where it's like, "Oh yeah, wipe these guys out. They're nut jobs."
Well, very famously, did you play Fallout 3, Paul?
I did, but it was
so. The very first location in Fallout 3, Josh, that you encounter is called Megaton. It's a small little village, I guess, and it's got big walls around a crater, and in the crater is a nuke that has not gone off. And you very much can set off that nuke and blow up the entire town if you want. Or you can go through the entire game and not do that. So there's those types of decisions within all of the Bethesda games where you can completely change an area of the game, either the story or people in the story or locations. It's up to you. And I would not be surprised if Starfield has one where you are supposed to blow up a planet and you choose either one way or another way. I would be surprised if that does not exist.
So they know that there are people who do the kill everything playthrough, and they may or may not have facilitated the idea of, oh yeah, this is how the man completes his mission and eradicating human life on an interstellar level.
Yep. I'm sure that's part of it.
If you wanted to go in that direction.
Yeah, by nature, I don't think I'm too destructive. So I usually, and with choices like this, I'm usually again just trying. I don't think I really put too much thought into them.
Yeah.
It's kind of just like a coin flip to what I pick.
Yeah.
So most of the time, it's probably not going to be destruction, and I'm just picking to just continue on.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm boring with RPG stuff as far as that. I guess.
No, not at all. When I play, I'm always role playing as myself in whatever environment the game puts me in.
Well, I've actually teamed up with Paul's brother, Josh, to try and come up with a character to do as a playthrough. And I've completely gone away from his idea, actually, Paul. And I was going to tell you that my person I'm going to name Indiana Bones. And he's going to be a big game hunter. He's going to hunt creatures. So whenever that's a possibility, which I know that there is because there's a background of a person, I've looked through the backgrounds that you can pick, and or a trait, I'm not quite sure. And there's one that's Beastmaster. And so I was like, I should do that. He's an adventurer that is going after animals, good and bad, as trophies and as friends, I guess. So I'll see where that takes me. I never do anything animal and wildlife related in any of those games. And so I figured it'd be fun to see what this space simulator has for that.
I just have this mental image of the danger cuddles. Like you start as a big game hunter and then you turn into like the Beastmaster animal tamer, and it's like, oh yeah, we have to latch this one to the outside of the ship.
Yeah,
but
we'll
it's
see.
coming with us. It's so cute.
I know. I'm hoping that you can take. There's companions in this, Josh, just like in Mass Effect. And did Cyberpunk have companions that followed you around? I don't think so, right? They didn't walk around with you. They were just part of stories, as far as I remember.
Some parts, but they weren't like partied up where you can see their stats or anything.
Gotcha.
Like
Yeah, this one is definitely like that. So Bethesda RPGs, they are partied up with you. That's a good term. And I'm hoping that there's going to be an animal that I can take with.
That'd be awesome. Just going back to my Final Fantasy days, I love the party system. I love the jobs that have either a beast or a summon or anything like that you have fighting with you and alongside you, and that you can assign attacks. Like, that's fun stuff. So that would definitely, I can see myself doing a playthrough like that as well.
Yeah, as far as I remember with most of their games, I don't know if this one will be different, but there was always like a max of 2 that you could take with. And you could have 2 completely different factions that hate each other be your followers, and they would have dialogue that they would be going at each other that way while they're following you. So I'm hoping that there's stuff like that in there too.
That's cool. So you can join you will be able to join multiple factions or deny all factions, you think?
Yes, I know that from listening to reviews. If I can give a little excerpt from Skyrim, the thing that game allowed you to do was to be the leader of the Dark Brotherhood of Assassins. Then you could also at the same time be the leader of the Thieves Guild, and at the same time be the leader of blah 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 blah. Like, if you go through all of the side quests of everything, you're just the number one person in the entire land for all of these factions. They said it's a little bit different in this one, but I imagine it's similar. You can be doing deals and stuff like that with multiple factions at the same time.
I have heard that there is the what is it, the main like military government faction or whatever, that there may be a quest in there to act as an undercover agent for one of the pirate factions,
Nice.
which gives you some story reason to be able to play both.
Right.
Now, how well that story develops as you take over the entire pirate faction and start running the show, I have no idea, but it'd be kind of cool if you were able to do that, and then still keep it under thumb.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Paul, do you have anything else to ask? Otherwise, I wanted to make sure that Josh can ask his questions.
Are you concerned about losing your wife to the land of Starfield?
I'm not. Not at all. She's funny, as in she's kind of like me. We kind of like stock up on games and then we never play them. So I would be surprised if she actually started. She would maybe start play a couple times, and that's it.
Oh,
so
wow.
No,
Okay.
I'm not concerned at all.
All right. You mentioned she was into Fallout 4, and I was like, oh man, maybe she's the one you have to worry about.
No, that's the one RPG that I've seen her play more than any game ever.
Okay.
All right.
Well, we'll have to get you her feedback along with yours afterwards.
Yeah. No, if she plays, I'll definitely let you know.
All right.
Well, Josh, did you have any questions lined up for us?
Yeah, let's see here. We talked about the launch experience and expectations and Bethesda's history. So we kind of already covered those. We also talked about concerns of how well the game is going to do because they're trying to have so many different genres that you can do in the game instead of just kind of focusing on few. I think we already touched on that as well. Unless you guys had anything else to add to that.
Not quite. There's something I was going to look up really quick while you guys talk about some other things.
Yeah, next question, multiplayer. Yeah. I have not heard anything as far as multiplayer. What's up with that? What do we got?
As far as we know, it's a single player game.
And is that how Skyrim and the Fallout games have all been?
That's how they have all been. I think there might have been some mod attempts at a multiplayer or a co-op. Sure. And I don't know if those ever really came to full success.
Okay.
Fallout 76 was their multiplayer attempt. And instead of doing something that a lot of people were interested in, co-op or private server type multiplayer, and instead they went with the MMO RPG type thing that didn't do so well.
Okay. Does Bethesda have like EA or some of these other games where I'll be on Steam? Am I going to have to download some other platform or other software that's going to have to be running in the background as I run their game?
They tried doing that with Fallout 76, and it worked so well that I think they deleted their launcher.
Yeah, that's good. All right, good. Yeah. All right. And then the last thing I was kind of questioning that I didn't see anything from the 45-minute video, but like when you're in an environment, in a biome, on a planet, whatever, wherever you are, I never saw any option or menu to bring up a map. Is there going to be any type of maps when you're like in an environment running around, or is this, how's that going to work?
I think there's a reason why they didn't show that.
Well, so I've already heard that's one of the complaints, is that the maps from the space system and from like navigation and maps is fantastic until you hit the ground, and then it's awful, like almost non-existent type map. And one thing that I've heard is that you have a scanner and it can scan points of interest in the local area, and it sounds like there's more of this, oh, hey, let me pin this from a list, grab this point of interest, or look through my heads up display and see all of the points of interest in the area, and oh, there's one I want to flag that, I'm going to move towards that one. But it sounds like the map is really underdeveloped or very poor even for on the ground, and it might be that they wanted to push people towards that point of interest system as kind of a futuristic type system rather than an on ground kind of mini map experience. At the same time, it might just be that it's a failing of, the ground mapping system, and they don't have anything really good, and we'll have to look for a mod, in the first couple weeks.
Well, I mean, I like the idea of what you just described. It's, in theory, it sounds great to me. I'm interested to try it. I don't know how you would provide ground maps when they're randomly generated. But you got to have some type of guiding system if their environment's this large, like you described earlier. But it also does sound like that you can't at any point fast travel back to your ship. Is that true?
I think so. As long as you're not in combat, I think you can fast travel back to your ship.
Okay, I like it. Is there any other existing game that has this type of no map but points of interest travel system? And maybe players just aren't used to it because this is a new system. You see where I'm going with that?
Yeah.
You just got to get used to this new playing style.
I see what you're saying. I would say their procedural generation for those worlds, they are rendered, right? So they would have to figure out how to render that a second time as a top-down view, right? I don't think that's impossible.
Discovered, like, Minecraft is a fully procedurally generated world, and they have mini maps galore for those.
Right.
And those are even live updating mini maps.
So I think it's probably time related. They just didn't have the time for that development, right? That's what I would expect, but I could be wrong.
Do we see that coming at a future patch then?
I think a mod, kind of like what Paul was saying.
I don't know. If they truly were like trying to push people towards this new kind of nav system as opposed to the traditional mini map, then I would think that if you're going to get it, it's going to come through a mod. But if it was just poor development of their mini map system, you might see it come out with like a Game of the Year release edition or something like that. I don't even know if they're probably going to release a Game of the Year edition, even if if they don't win Game of the Year, because it's a heavy.
You think?
I mean, there's a pretty well. I mean, there's been a Game of the Year for Skyrim for the last 15 years. I think.
It was the Game of the Year for probably 14 of those 15 years.
I thought it was Call of Duty.
I don't know. I like it. I like what you described. I'm excited to check it out. I'm
curious about it.
Just give me points of interest. Give me the ability to fast travel back to my ship, or call it to me. What do I need a map for at that point?
Well, we'll find out when you come back. We're gonna see what you thought of that process.
Yeah, we'll have to follow up on that. Make a note.
Yeah. Sorry, Paul, I cut you off.
No problem. No problem. I was just gonna say I don't know about this point of interest system. That's just what I've heard. That it's a thing. It might be intentional. I haven't gotten into it yet, but I will also be checking it out.
Gotcha. Josh, remind me, what was the Final Fantasy game that you played quite a bit growing up? 7?
I started out in Final Fantasy 11, their first MMO.
11. Okay.
And then as soon as 14 came out, their second MMO, I spent a ton of time in that game as well. And we're talking like when you look at your playtime, it wasn't in hours, it was in days. And we're talking like 250 days of playtime in Final Fantasy 11. And 14, I don't even know, because I don't know if they had that time tracking like that. But It was yeah, let's just say I didn't pursue anything else like sports or anything else because I gave it all up
Okay.
for video games.
Gotcha. Well, that one, just to put into perspective, got a 92 on Metacritic, which Metacritic, up or down, it just is a good number for us to talk about right now. Skyrim got a 94 on that. Fallout 4 got an 84. And Starfield so far has an 88 with
Okay.
51 critics reviewing it. So
Which
does that...
Did you say the score for which game? For
Final Fantasy 14 Endwalker?
14 got a 92. Okay, got it. Okay.
So does that, I don't know, add any perspective to you, or you, Paul, I guess, like compared to the ones that you've played as well?
I haven't played any Final Fantasies.
No, I'm talking
Sorry,
about
Josh.
Skyrim and Fallout 4 for you.
One of the biggest complaints that I've heard about Fallout 4 was that they cut down a lot of your dialogue choices and just gave you 4 options, and one of them was the good one, and the other ones were, it didn't really matter because you'd end up with a similar or the same outcome regardless. You just sounded a little snarkier. So I can see why that Metacritic is significantly lower than the Skyrim option, and maybe a few other small features, but I'm curious to see where everything lands on Starfield after the masses get their hands on it.
Gotcha. How about you, Josh? Knowing those numbers, does that add anything to you or not?
Yeah, I'm honestly just surprised at the Fallout 4 score. That's what you said. Fallout 4 was an 88, right? That surprises me. Skyrim, I'm not surprised at all. Just being in the gaming industry as far as a player and its popularity, yeah, not surprised at all how well its score is. But Fallout, surprising. Final Fantasy 14, not surprised at all. Again, with the popularity of that game.
Yeah.
But as far as, no, I'm not sure. I can't think of anything else that would add.
Gotcha. Yeah, your hype level is not affected in any way.
No, like for Starfield's current score, that's just, it's like watching, like we just finished the NFL preseason.
Yeah.
Like the scores in those games don't matter.
Yeah.
So the game's not released. That score doesn't matter in my eyes.
Gotcha. You more, if you would not be getting this, would you be looking at the user scores, what people are saying versus critics?
That's a good question. Like when I'm going through Steam looking for game deals or new games to add to the wish list, I look at both. First thing I look at is the genre, the visuals, if this is a game that looks like games that I love, right? Does this look like a game that I would play? And if it does, then the next thing I look at is the reviews, the scores. But I think that is secondary to the visuals and the genre. If it looks like a game I want to play, like really badly, then that will trump the scores, because I'll want to try it for myself.
Mm-hmm. And one more question. Are you going to steal your wife's ultra-wide setup to play this?
No, because I have my own.
Oh, you have your own now? I didn't realize that.
Yep. No need to steal hers.
Do you have anything else that was on your mind, or you, Paul?
I'm ready to wrap up if Josh is ready to wrap up.
Yeah, no, I think I'm hyped. I'm ready to play.
That's great. That's great to hear. Well, what's going to happen after this is at some point, Josh is going to have that game in his Steam library. And when he's had a couple hours in, we were talking about you just doing 3 hours just because I didn't know whether this was your type of game or not. But I assume now that you're going to be spending a lot more time in it. And so once you're, I don't know, a fair way through the game where you can tell us if you've figured out some things about it, Paul and I will be fair way through that game at the same time, I assume. And so I think it'll make for a good conversation for you to come back and tell us what your experience was like or has been, and how you see the game after you've had an experience.
Yeah, sounds like a plan. Let's do it. Let's schedule it. I'm assuming you guys are going to be day one purchases.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Well, we have it on Game Pass, so it just automatically downloads. So
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, I'll do my best to get it as quick as possible. But yeah, I'm ready to play and give my input.
Cool.
All right. Well, until then, thank you for joining us today, Josh. And to everyone else, good night, good morning, good day. Thank you for listening to Half a Chance podcast, and we will see you next time.
We're all here because we're committed to the biggest question of all. What's out there?